Hi there, my name is Will and welcome back to a deep dive of workflow components. Today we're going to be talking about the concurrency property that you can use inside of your flows to control the number of executions at one time. The concurrency property is at the flow level, allowing you to control how many executions occur at the same time. You can treat this as a global concurrency limit. No matter how you execute that flow, whether that's via the API, the UI, webhook, or a trigger, it will only ever allow the number set in the limit key. Let's have a look at an example. In the example that we have here, you can see that the limit key is set to 2, which means we'll only be able to execute 2 of this flow at one time. So we can just simply do that by pressing execute twice, and I can press it again. And when I press it the third time, we'll see that it is actually set to the queue state. And if I go over to executions, we can see that the first 2 are running, where it's just simply sleeping it for 10 seconds. And then the last one is queued and will be executed once one of the first ones has finished. So if I give that a refresh now, we'll see that it is now running because both of them have finished. So really useful if you've got a task that maybe is talking to a system where only one thing should talk to it at a time. Maybe it's a file system where it's reading and writing and you don't want it to have multiple things reading and writing at the same time. This is really useful for that. There is also one extra property called behavior. This allows you to set a state to the task that is unable to execute because the limit has been reached. So in that previous example, it was set to queue. However, you can set it to either queue, cancel, or fail. So maybe you don't want it to run multiple times. In fact, you don't want it to ever run back to back. So you can just set that straight to fail or cancel. Really helpful if you have someone who's manually testing something and maybe some triggers executing at the same time. This can stop you from having the triggers execute after you've finished doing your manual execution. We can see that when I execute this, we'll see that the third task will fail. And as we can see here, it failed immediately despite the fact that the first 2 haven't even finished based on that behavior property. Hopefully you found that insightful and that will help you give a little bit more control to how your flows execute. Let us know in the comments what you think and tell us how you're using the concurrency property in your flows.